But I remember when they prescribed it, the doctor said, this will be something you'll take for a lifetime. You'll never be able to get off of it.
Jenece, how did you find carnivore?
Well, all I kind of found it in a different way than everybody else I've heard their story. All while raising my kids, I wanted them to eat healthy, of course. And so I would tell them to eat like a caveman. You guys need to eat like a caveman. And that to me just was, they were healthy, they were athletic, they could go and hunt, you know, they had teeth, they had all their teeth, that I had learned and all these little things I had picked up along the way. So I'd always told them that. Well, kids grew up and moved out of the house and I had more time on my hands. So I started getting really interested in, what humans are supposed to eat, like what we were designed to eat. And obviously it wasn't all of this junk that's in the grocery stores now, all the boxed foods and things. So I started following some accounts on Twitter or X now, and just I didn't even really learn about all the healing aspects of carnivore until later on. I just learned about our digestive tract and gut, and just historical side of everything. So that's how I kind of came to carnivore. I was researching for a couple years. Didn't tell my husband. My husband and I are both big researchers. We love looking into things, and so didn't really tell my husband about it because he's had some health issues. He's got some hearing loss and some things. So, but I knew if I was to present it to him, he'd probably, no, no, no. So one night he was in our room and he was watching YouTube and a video came across like, typical, carnivore can help hearing loss. So he watches it and he hollers into me in the other room and he says, "Hey, have you heard about carnivore?" And I chuckle and say, "Yeah, I've done some reading on it." And he says, "We should try it." I go, "All right." And I didn't consider myself overweight or anything. I was very active before. I was an endurance cyclist. I'd done a century ride. I would cycle 30 to 60 miles a day, 6 days a week, walk to work. I did all the healthy things. During COVID, we gave up most processed foods, but not all. And, my health started to improve. But I had fibromyalgia, I had arthritis, shingles, I had chronic shingles, um, some things that I would like to get rid of. And so lo and behold, 2 days after starting carnivore, my fibromyalgia was gone. I had no pain, no pain. Two
Two
days.
days.
Yeah, 2 days.
And how long had you lived with that?
Um, Probably about 15 or 20 years. Long time. And I had gone through 28 different back surgeries and procedures and things that they do trying to figure out the pain. I was on pain pills and you name it, I was on it for years. So about 6 years ago, I had realized I was in this cycle of doctors and pharmacy and doctor and pharmacy every week. I was just kind of tired of it. So I talked to my doctor and he wouldn't help me. I wanted to get off the meds and they wouldn't help me. So I went looking for another doctor and I said, "There's my list of meds. I'm in terrible pain. Please help me." And she said, "Well, you need some psychiatric help. You need to be locked away for a few days and you need some psychiatric help." So I'm crushed, because I'm in debilitating pain. And the only thing that was somewhat helping was all of the pills, which created all kinds of other problems. So I just decided to do it on my own. So I bought a hot tub and just started slowly weaning myself off. And it took 2 years and it was pretty rough because it was just constant withdrawals for 2 years. But I finally got off all the medication on my own and I just tried to use natural things. I had medical marijuana to help with the pain, and it was a lot. I was in pretty severe pain every day, and I was a special ed preschool teacher, and being lethargic and hurting every day was not a good combo. I needed to be energetic and have my wits about me. So I just yeah, so when we started carnivore, it was just this magical, slow healing, of everything.
Oh, I can't believe a doctor just, like, took any feeling of empowerment that you had away from you instantly like that. It's just like, I wanna do something for my pain.
Yeah.
Well, you need to see a psychiatrist, you need mental help. That's
Yeah.
just awful.
Yeah, it crushed me because I was just desperate and I didn't want to be on all of those meds. And it's addictive whether you want to be or not. Your body gets addicted. And I missed so much of my kids growing up. I've got 6 kids and I missed a lot, because I was just in so much pain. So, yeah, it was it was very very hard.
Wow. And so 2 days, fibromyalgia's gone, and then how did it progress from there?
I honestly wish I would have kept better notes, kept a journal or something. I was pretty good at like the monthly pictures, but I was thinking, oh, I'll remember this. I don't remember exactly, but I had chronic shingles pain on my arm, and the rash was gone, but and it felt like burning cigarettes all over my arm all the time. I couldn't wear anything with a sleeve. So my wardrobe was all tank tops. Luckily, I live where it's hot, so it was okay most of the year. But yeah, I had to get special permission at my job, to wear sleeveless sometimes at times, because I just couldn't deal with that pain. That went away real quick within the first 2 weeks. That was gone, and it was just amazing. The joint pain, the arthritis kind of left with the fibromyalgia, like it just kind of disappeared together. Um, that I had bad anxiety and I probably depression because I was just in so much pain. And I noticed probably about 3 or 4 months in, I was like, I had to go. I'm a photographer and I had to go shoot a wedding or something. And I usually get pretty nervous. It's a very important day and you don't want to mess up. And so before I would get pretty nervous a few days before, and my husband's also a photographer and we do it together. And so I'd be like, I don't know, I can't do this. I can't do this. Well, we had a wedding come up, and sure enough, I was like, oh, I'm looking forward to this wedding. And he's like, what's wrong with you? I'm like, yeah, I don't feel anxious at all. I feel really excited and happy. Yeah, it was really cool.
That's awesome. I can imagine, as a wedding photographer, suffering from joint pain and arthritis, like, that's a nightmare 'cause, you have to be kind of going up a little step ladder or bending down to get the right angle and all this kind of thing and moving quickly. That would be kinda tough.
It was really tough, and it was many hours on my feet, which was exhausting. And I was like and I was such a active person that I was hungry all the time. So, I always had a fear of, "Oh my god, what if I get so hungry I'm nauseous again during the wedding?" Or, because I would get to the point where I'd be nauseous, I was so hungry. And it was very stressful. And we shoot a lot of, Kenyan weddings, and Kenyan weddings tend to be very long, 12, 15-hour long weddings. And so now I can shoot it just fine. I've shot a few of them and I don't need to eat or anything. I'm just like super energetic all the way through. It's so amazing.
That's awesome. And having that constant supply of energy now must be amazing.
It's really cool. It's really like it's very different for me since I was just the carb cycling junkie,
Mm.
and just it was constant up and down. So yeah.
Yeah, nice. And how has your husband done with it? Like, has this, done anything for his hearing loss?
It's helped a little bit. He says it's like loosening things up and he can hear crackling and he has good days and bad days, but he believes it's starting to work. It's been a long road for him. It happened, I think 12, 13 years ago, maybe even more now. When he lost started losing his hearing. It's like it's been a progression. And no, he doctors wouldn't help him out. He's a vet, so we went to veterans and they didn't see any issue. He says, well, I have ringing and I can't hear. How can you not see an issue? You know? So we even paid out of pocket for specialists, in the big city in Phoenix and everything. And so nobody could help him. But I really think this will help. I think it's just so damaged that it's going to take him a couple years, to really help, because you can feel the inflammation in his eustachian tubes. You can just feel it. So it's going to take some time, but
At this stage, how are you eating? Is it like one meal a day, two meals a day?
so I tried doing one meal a day, but I think it was just for me, being a woman, I think it was messing with my hormones too much. And so I'm a good two meal a day. Sometimes I snack around lunch, depending on how my workouts are or how active I am that day. Pretty much, I'm just beef, butter, bacon, and eggs. It's bacon and eggs for breakfast, and dinner is either hamburger and eggs and bacon or steak and bacon. We I make my own tallow, and we put tallow on everything, and we use a lot of melted butter. I love melted butter. And it's I even make tallow lotion now and sell it locally. So because the my son yeah, my youngest son has eczema real bad. He's vaccine injured, and it's a long story, but he's got a rare disease, and so part of that disease shows up in eczema. So I read that, tallow can help that. So I just started making it. Well, the whole family loved it so much. They said, you should sell it. So I started bottling it and selling it locally here. So yeah, it's great.
So, are all your kids still at home?
No, they've all moved out. Yeah, they're all grown and moved out.
And so, how do they feel about this? Are they all like, "Mum and Dad are doing this weird thing now with meat and eggs," or are they kind of down with it?
They're pretty used to me being kind of the oddball. I've always been kind of the oddball parent. So they're pretty used to it. They at first at family dinners it was a little awkward, everybody's having, tacos or pizza or whatever, and here we are having a steak. And so we would get kind of looks, and but now it's normal. They just know, we're gonna have our steak, and even a couple of them are like, "Oh, I'll take a steak. I'll take a half a steak." So we're hoping to lead by example. It's hard once they're grown and have their own kids, but we'll lead by example.
And how about friends around you? Has anyone commented? Has anyone been interested in doing this?
Oh yeah. So I've been once I started healing, a couple days in, I just became like a huge loudmouth on Facebook and everything, and just I just I know so many people that have, some health problems and could really use help. And I really want to help everybody. I tell everybody, I just want everybody in the world to feel as good as I do. And so, yeah, I've been posting a lot on Facebook, different things, interesting facts and tips that I find. And I've had several friends now, will message me, "Hey, I started carnivore because of you." Or, a good friend that I worked with, she's now off all of her arthritis meds because, she started carnivore and she's lost a ton of weight. She looks amazing. It's really magical. I've got a neighbor that's doing it now, and she's battling some health issues, some cancer and things. So she's hoping that this will help, and she's feeling amazing. So, yeah, I even met today. I am a photographer, so I was doing some product photography, and the couple that came over, they were keto, and so I was telling them kind of a little bit about carnivore, and they're like, "Oh, we got to try that." So I think when people feel your energy and your true happiness about something, that they kind of receive it well.
It's such a big thing and such a big change in people's lives. Like it's hard for people to ignore the difference in energy and the difference in just like it's almost like a glow, right?
Yeah, and I've I've dealt with some sort of pain since I was 14. So, the only people that know me pre all of that are my parents. And I'm blessed that they're still around because they're like, We see the old light in you. We see the old Jenece. Like we're like you're not a zombie anymore, You're nice and happy and smiling again." So it's really been nice, and they've been kind of enjoying, and I'm glad that I'm feeling better so I can care for them as they age and get older, because they now live around the corner from me, so I can help them. And I wasn't able to before. My mom was coming over to help me, doing my laundry because I couldn't do it, helping me clean the house, so it's nice to be able to do that for her now.
Yeah. And have they kind of dabbled with this at all?
Um, yes and no. My mom loves her salads. So but she is doing, she's trying to do better, and she eats the little meat sticks from Costco that I introduced her to, and some things like that. She'll eat steak with us and things. My dad, we used to work for Frito Lay, so he likes his chips and he likes his salty snacks. So, I figure he's 81, so I'll let some things slide. But he's extremely active. If they were injured or ill or in any way, I would be way more concerned. But my yesterday, my dad helped me paint my photography studio. He's 81, and he, still rides his bike around the neighborhood, and he still wrestles with his grandkids and his great grandkids. And so, if I think if I were to see, signs of Alzheimer's or, anything health wise, I would be more adamant about it. But they're I think they had extremely healthy childhoods. So,
Just to transition a little bit or kind of go back a little bit, you mentioned how the fibromyalgia went after 2 days.
Mhm.
Um, a lot of people going into carnivore will experience a lot of symptoms or negative symptoms like keto flu related. Were you experiencing that as you started? And were you kind of like, well, I'm just going to deal with that because, the fibromyalgia going is way more important?
Yeah, the keto flu didn't hit me very hard. I didn't have any digestive issues or anything. I think because we had already pretty much given up processed foods, that we didn't have that. But I did eat a lot of, bananas and, pasta, and, but we made it homemade. So didn't have a lot of keto flu. I did have the fat adaptation issue because I was so active on my bike that crashed. That my activity level just crashed because I could not keep up. And, I would still pack a banana with me once in a while, just in case, because that was the hardest part. And that took me probably about 2 to 3 months to really get back to where I was feeling where I was before. So for me, that was the hardest part.
As someone that's always been pretty active, you didn't really have weight to lose.
I didn't think I did. I ended up losing about 30 pounds rather quickly, like within the first month. Yeah, I knew that, I was probably a few pounds, but I definitely didn't do it for weight loss. And that's one thing the family was concerned with. Oh, you're losing too much weight, because I never complained about my weight really before that. Um, I had been bigger in previous years, but had, worked that kind of out after leaving the processed foods and the medication. After dropping the medication, I lost like 60 something pounds. So, yeah, that was just dropping the medication.
That's quite scary that the medications can put that much weight on you.
Yeah, and it's like left, so I still have some issues with it. I was on high dose Lyrica for a very extended amount of time, and now I don't have that feeling of being full. Like, I get satiety, but I get it like 2 hours after I eat. I don't know when to stop eating. I've actually made myself sick on carnivore because I've overeaten. I'm like, oh, I had and I just keep eating, and I'm like, I'm supposed to feel full. I don't get that feeling. So there's something. It did something to the chemistry in my brain. That's what they say. I don't know, but yeah. So that's for me. It's a little frustrating because I just don't know when to stop eating.
Okay. And I've never actually heard of Lyrica before. What was that one for?
It what they use it for lots of different things, but it was for my pain. And apparently it's addictive, which it was supposed to give you like this addictive feeling, but it never did for me. It just obviously when I went off of it, the withdrawals were really bad. That was the worst to go off of. But I remember when they prescribed it, the doctor said this will be something you'll take for a lifetime. You'll never be able to get off of it. And I'm going, Yeah, I don't agree to that. I don't want to be on any pill for a lifetime. So yeah, that was
Yeah.
the hardest one.
Mm. So it's quite scary that when you hear the news these days and you see that there's more and more children and younger people getting on these kind of drugs early on, right? Like having conditions that you would associate with older people, like because they're eating so many processed foods and ultra processed foods, right? Like fatty
Yeah.
liver disease and that kind of thing. And then they're having to go on to drugs. And it's just like, if you think, like we spoke about your parents before, like they ate really well when they were young, and then people our age, and you think, well, we ate sort of good when we were young, but we're probably getting into more of the ultra processed foods. And then you think about kids these days and younger people these days, and their diet is so much more ultra processed.
Yeah, and it's the same foods. It's Kraft mac and cheese, but the ingredients are completely different. It's completely different. I it's really hard. And when my granddaughter comes to visit, it's hard for me to shop because I want to feed her as healthy as possible, but and her parents feed her fairly healthy, but still, some goldfish and things like that. And so, um, it's hard. And being in the special ed preschool that I was in, I was seeing what the kids were bringing to school, and no judgment on parents because I probably sent my kids to school with the same kind of food. Um, but yeah, it's just junk in the lunchbox, and it's junk that they're serving, and it's just carbs. You can look on the I actually posted our local menu, and it's just carbs. It's, a little tiny bit of protein and carbs and sugar. So it's no imagine that why the kids have so many behavior issues nowadays.
And the worst thing is, because of a lot of the marketing messages, a lot of parents just think this is okay because, oh, look, it's low fat, or it says no cholesterol, or it says, lots of good vitamins and all this kind of thing. But, they don't also notice that there's a lot of colorings or preservatives and chemicals and stuff in there, right?
Oh yeah, and yeah, and they hide it under, natural flavors, and they change the wording of what things mean, and they change the wording of things, and it's a constant struggle. When my youngest son was sick, that's when I learned to read labels, because he was taken off all foods, and we were in home quarantine for 2 years, and he was put on an amino acid based formula. So that's what he would, and that's obviously all we need to survive. So had that for 2 years. When we started reintroducing foods, get this, we started reintroducing foods, the GI specialist, which it was hard to find because no one wanted to work with my son. He said, you're going to need all processed foods, anything with preservatives, because that's going to coat the lining of his digestive tract, because he had holes in his intestine, which is not what it was, but that's going to coat his digestive tract. And so you need all processed food. So all the other kids ate healthy. And I'm like, oh, well, he's got to have brownies and ice cream and Oreo. Like that's what they said to give him. Yeah. So everything wrong. And it took me a minute, and this was before internet. It took me a minute to realize, this doesn't make sense. It's just not adding up. And yeah, he wasn't as sick, but could he be healthier? And so he went in and out of remission a few times until I could figure out a good diet for him. And now that he's grown and moved out, it's probably not the best diet, but he promises when he gets older he'll get a better diet. He says he can play now while he's younger.
So, if you had a friend come to you and say, "Okay, Janice, I'm done. I'm feeling terrible, or I've got all this weight to lose, or something. You're doing so well. Teach me how to get onto carnivore." What advice would you give them?
I would tell them to probably start slow and to go keto first. I think I was probably close to keto before. I honestly didn't even know what keto was. But I was probably close to that before. So I would say go keto for a good couple months before, and then just take it slow and listen to your body. I would tell them, that carnivore is really, it's made for everybody. We have that long small intestine for a reason, and that you can survive off meat just fine. um, I would definitely encourage them. You don't get hungry. I was never a big dieter. I was more calories in, calories out kind of girl. So I never did a lot of the fad diets, but I saw my mom go through all that. She did all that in the 80s and 90s, those fad diets. And so I would just, and saw her, she was starving. I'm hungry all the time. You're never hungry with this. And that is a big selling point to a lot of people, is like, I'm just not hungry, and I tend to undereat because I just don't get hungry. So, yeah, I would definitely encourage them to do some research on their own. YouTube is great. Your channel is great. Obviously, Dr. Barry, Dr. Chafee, all of them, Jordan Peterson, it's all great info. And the more stories you can hear, I think, is the more inspirational. The other thing I would tell them, definitely do a journal, a daily journal, what you eat, how it affects you. I wish I would have done that. And monthly pictures, because to me, those comparison pictures are very inspirational, very inspirational. No matter how much you've changed, it doesn't have to be, a huge change, but you can definitely tell, when somebody's carnivore now, you can tell that carnivore glow.
Yeah, I definitely, yeah, I agree the journal thing, right? Because I
Yeah.
didn't write things down, and everything comes back to you in such a spotty way when you haven't written things down, and it's like, oh yeah, that didn't hurt. That doesn't hurt anymore, or I don't have that thing anymore. But you've got no repository or database of all that stuff.
Yeah, you just
Um,
kind of start noticing. Like my husband and I were sitting there one night, and I was wearing shorts, and he looks over to me and he goes, "What happened to your leg?" And I said, "What?" And I looked down. I'm like, "What? What's wrong with my leg?" He goes, "Your cellulite's gone." I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "All my cellulite's gone." Like I have no idea when it happened, no clue, but and so it's, you just notice those little things later on. You're like, oh, I don't have floaters in my eyes anymore, just little things like that. So that's the fun part. I kind of miss that beginning part where you just wake up every morning like, oh, what am I going to weigh, what's gone today, that was exciting, like Christmas every day.
yeah, and also, yeah, waking up and that feeling of how is it that I'm feeling so good when I felt so bad every morning when I woke up before? Like those first few days realizing that massive difference, and now waking up feeling good is kind of normal. So you don't have that comparison anymore, right?
Exactly. Yeah. It's amazing. You just wake up like, okay, I'm ready for the day. And I wake up, I naturally wake up about between 2 and 3 a.m. I don't know why. That's just when I wake up. And so I'm just like, well, what am I going to do until everybody else wakes up? So I just meditate and I'll lay in bed and try to go back to sleep. But I'm just excited for the day. Every day is like exciting and new. And, it's just, the feeling of positivity just immenses for, like, it just comes out of me. I love it.
Yeah. What's that saying? Carpe diem, seize the day. It's kind of like in the before times, like when someone ever said that, I was like, I can't seize the day. I can barely seize the minute, but that that changes, right?
For sure. Yeah, every day is just like, it feels like it's just a blessing. And before is like, just I just got to make it till bed tonight. I'm just got to make it to bed. If I can make it to bed, then that's a good day. And now it's like, I just want to, enjoy life. I'm ready to, like, let's travel, let's go hiking, let's do this, let's do that. So, yeah, it's definitely a wonderful life change, and it's amazing, just food can change your entire aspect of life, like your entire outlook.
So how would you respond to someone that said to you, yeah, but this is too restrictive?
I do get that a lot, and I tell them, it's very freeing. Like I feel free from food, free from that tie of where's my next meal? What am I going to have? What do I have to plan? How many ingredients do I need? Do I have to go to the store for it? All the dishes. Like we have such a routine now, and the dishwasher gets ran once a day. We hardly produce any trash anymore. It's amazing. The least amount of trash is like maybe a bag a week anymore. I just take it out because I feel like I should take it out. um, it's so freeing. You can travel. We've traveled all over, flown. We've gone to Alaska. We've gone. I went to Pittsburgh, and to just not have to worry about, oh, when's my next meal? Oh, what are they going to serve on the plane? Where's the closest hotel, restaurant, or whatever it is. I pack some extra bacon and I make pemmican bars, just in case. But I could go days without eating and it wouldn't bother me. It's easy.
That's so interesting, right? Because when you think about the before times, right? Everything revolved around food. Like when you go on a family vacation or something, right? It could be to Disneyland or something like that, but still you're very focused on the food part of it. Like, well, when we get in there, where are we going to get snacks? Or when we get to the hotel, where are the restaurants and where is this and where is that? And yeah, it's very freeing that you don't like life doesn't revolve around eating anymore.
Yeah, and it's just in the shopping, shopping is so easy. It's 5 minutes and I know exactly what I'm going to get. It's the same thing every week. Don't have to go through aisles and hunt. Don't have to look for sales. I just go to Costco, get what I need, go home. It takes me longer to drive there than it does to be in the store, so like the amount of time you save not having to cook dinner and we just grill it. It takes longer to heat the grill than it does to cook the food. It's so easy.
Janice, how can people reach out to you? Do you have any social media or any way of getting in contact?
I do. I'm on Facebook and I'm on Twitter. My Twitter is Carnivore Granny, and my Facebook is pretty much carnivore and family stuff. So I'm on there too.
Well, I'll link to those in the show notes.
Perfect.
Um, Janice, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story with us. I really appreciate your time.
Thank you for having me. It was awesome. It was great to meet you.